let's talk about the notion that we should be combating the buyers in order to stop human trafficking. My name is Kim. I'm a survivor of 20 years of cult abuse, including child trafficking. I now train law enforcement to not only identify child exploitation and trafficking, but also combat it in a way that's actually helpful and effective, meaning a trauma-informed response or the individualized approach. I've also worked with tons of nonprofits over the last several years in this mission to not only unite the experts, but also combat the real problems and implement real solutions. Now, I've been pretty disillusioned by most NGOs and nonprofits that call themselves anti-trafficking. Most of them call themselves anti-trafficking, but they're really just anti-sex work or anti-porn or just in a different body of water that is not trafficking. But they're raising millions of dollars in the name of combating trafficking, and they're not combating trafficking or helping survivors of trafficking. So they're actually just exploiting the problem, the real problem of real trafficking, and real survivors are not being helped, funds aren't being allocated to the real problem, etc. So part of this is that in society, we do not have an accurate understanding of trafficking. Most laws aim at sex workers or sex work, but not trafficking. Yes, those are different bodies of water. And yes, there are overlap, but it's not the same body of water. It is not the same thing. So to solve a problem, we have to first understand a problem. I'm going to oversimplify this very complex issue because, of course, it's not a one-size-fits-all problem. That's why it's so complicated to combat. But the main complication, if I were to narrow it down into a nutshell, is corruption. Meaning our federal government is well aware and has been for many, many decades, but yet there are not really concerted efforts to actually combat this issue. Politicians are too cowardly and corrupt to make sounds with their mouth. Most of these bills are really just band-aids that we're putting on the wound, and I'm going to unpack that in the next video. That being said, human trafficking is a multi-billion-dollar global industry, and the United States is the main problem. It generates at least $50 billion every single year in the United States, which is more than all professional sports combined, selling children. I'm going to keep my words very soft on this platform, and I just want you to keep in mind, $50 billion every single year. How many children is that? Okay, so no one knows the real numbers, meaning whatever is reported and confirmed is really barely scratching the tip of the iceberg. But the United States government does not have a federal agency that's dedicated to combating human trafficking. Like, we're not even pretending to care, because I'm also not assuming that the federal government would actually be effective in combating this issue. I'm just helping you unpack the logic for yourself so you can understand that this issue is intentional. So yes, there is supply and demand if we're going to use economic terms for it, but it would not be thriving. It would not be the fastest growing criminal enterprise. It would not be the second largest selling humans in the United States if it did not enjoy the support and funding and protection